My name is Sarah. Welcome to the It's a Sarah podcast. Today is Monday, January 9, 2023, and this is episode 54. I love to knit, I love to crochet, and I love to talk, so that's the perfect combination for this podcast. I make 2 episodes every week, one in Dutch and one in English. I'm from the Netherlands, so excuse my Dutchy English. And this week I will tell you all about my handwerkperikelen, or in English you can say my crafting adventures from last week. Let's start with what I'm wearing. Of course, my headband, my braided cabled earwarmer by Jessika Kale. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. I really love it. It's one of my favorites. And I also wear my Oh Those Pops of Pink cardigan. In my case, it's actually Oh Those Pops of Orange. It's one of my favorite cardigans, and it didn't always was my one of my favorites. It's actually a sweater pattern. It's by Moll, and Moll is I think an English lady, maybe American, I don't know, but she lives in the Netherlands. The pattern is in English, and you can buy it on Ravelry. It's actually a sweater pattern, but I made it with a planned stick. So I added some stick stitches at the front. And I think this was my second colorwork project. And I wasn't good at the sizing at that moment. It's too tight. I didn't pick the right size, I guess. I didn't measure it well. I just picked the small size because I always have the small size, and I didn't look good at the measurements. And I also use the same needle size for just the plain fabric and the colorwork fabric. And now I know I prefer a larger needle for my colorwork because it's always a bit tighter. And when I go up one needle size, it's better. But I didn't do that at this cardigan. So I ended with quite a small cardigan. It was quite tight, and I blocked it quite aggressively. And that worked out a little. My my neckline growth quite much. So it was a big and wide neckline, and I do love low wide necklines, but the colorwork was quite tight. It was a bit of a weird fit, and I just didn't wear it a lot. I love the colors. Oh, and I also had green cuffs. I didn't have enough of my main color for the cuffs, so I chose the dark green for the cuffs, and I also didn't like that a lot. So this cardigan was staying in my closet for all the time, but I couldn't put it away. There was no one in my in my circle, in my inner circle, no family, no friends who would fit in this cardigan, and also I couldn't put it to the thrift shop because I loved it, and I don't loved it at the same time. It was quite hard. But at one moment last year, I decided to add a big color. The cardigan was originally like this. You can see when I fold it down, you can see it a bit. Not quite good, but the cardigan used to be like this. And I wore it like this, open, but the fit, it wasn't good. It was actually a bit too tight. So I decided to add a color, and I picked up the stitches. I didn't rip out anything because of the stick. That was no option. And I just picked up the stitches, and I You can see the line at the right side. Normally you would do that on the wrong side, but because of it, I wear it like this and it folds open. I want to not have to the detail of the pickup line at the inside. So yeah, you can see it. It isn't bothering me because it's a nice detail, and of course it's not the way you have to do that, but I think it's nice and fine, this detail. I love it. I also found some, I don't know if I found it in my stash or maybe I bought some accidentally new Lopi in the same colorway as my main color. So I ripped out the green cuffs and knitted them again. And then my cardigan transferred. No, I don't know the right word. It changed in a cardigan in my closet all the time into one of my favorites, because now I could wear it like this, and it's still a bit too tight. The button is not on my widest part of the breast. It is a bit lower, and you can see it stands open, and also because the fit is a little bit tight. It's not nice to wear it close, but I don't like to wear my cardigans close. I mainly close one button. Oh, that was quite a noise outside. I'm sorry for the noise. I don't know what they are doing. But I mainly wear it like this. I prefer to wear it like this. So that's absolutely okay. I love the narrow fit of the sleeves. They are tight, but I love the look of that. I love it. And yeah, so with quite a few modifications, this cardigan is in my weekly wardrobe again, and I love that. So that's very nice. I have some sweaters, my striped sweaters, and maybe also my spark sweater that are also, I love them, but I don't wear them because little details aren't matching the way I prefer wearing them. So when I rip out something and add some little details, modify them, they will be part of my running wardrobe. Do you say it like that? They are not laying there all the time, but I actually wear them, and they receive much more love than they are receiving right now. So I'm looking forward to that. I also love the stick sandwich. Let me show it. I absolutely love how neat it is at the inside. Look. Oh, I love it. So that's what I'm wearing. I'm sorry for the cuffs. I had a little cold in here. Last week, my husband lost his voice completely, and last week mine was a bit. It was a bit. I don't know how you say it in English. It seems that I was losing my voice too, but it didn't happen, and I only had a little cough, and I still have, when I talk too much and I have no drink, my drink is downstairs. So I'm sorry for the coughs now and then, but I think in the Netherlands everyone is coughing right now. It's the coughing season, so it's part of the winter. It's not bothering me a lot. It's just good for my immune system. It's an update. So, okay, let's go to my first finished object. Ta-da! These are the Acorn socks by Tinka Knits, and these are for my youngest daughter. She's 13 years old, and these are her house socks. She loves to wear hand-knitted socks when she is in the house, and she has 2 pairs of just fingering weight socks, but there were both holes in it, so I will mend them. But I thought it was time to make her some thicker pair of socks because she doesn't wear them in their shoes. And she saw the pattern while I was on Ravelry. It was in 2022, so I didn't buy something new in 2023, but last year in December I was scrolling through Ravelry, and she was looking with me, and she saw these, and she was absolutely immediately in love, and she said, "Oh, I want those socks." So of course I made them for her. I used one thread of Yerbo Alpe. It's a DK weight yarn, and I held it together with a strand of mohair from Langyarns Mohair Luxe. And I said it before, I'm not a mohair, I'm not a very mohairy type. I love how it feels. It's quite soft and warm, but I don't know if I love the fuzziness. I don't know. But I added this mohair for some strength. Because the Alpe is 100% wool. It has no nylon in it, and the mohair with the silk makes it a little bit stronger. But I was watching a podcast. I don't know her name. It was such a lovely podcast. Stitch Witchcraft. If I remember, I will link it down below. I loved her podcast. It was quite a new one. But she said she had a good experience with knitting socks with lead loopy, and she said because it's quite rustic, it's strong enough to be to wear as hand knitted socks. And I'm curious to that. I want to knit these in lead loopy, and it's not high on my list because I already have one pair of house socks for myself, and I don't know, maybe for one of my other family members, but I think I would love the rustic look of the lead loopy with the cables, and yeah, without the fuzziness, I guess. But it felt very nice, and she said when she told me, my daughter told me, "Oh, they are so nice and warm on my feet." And I did modify the pattern because the pattern is with a heel flap and gusset, but I don't love to knit them, so I use the shadow wrap short row heel as I normally do for my socks. And normally I go from toe up, but now I did cuff down because of the pattern, the cable pattern. And I absolutely know why I prefer toe down, because of the sizing. But when I would knit them toe up, the cable would be otherwise around, and I don't think I like that. So I did the sizing. At first I choose the toddler size, although my daughter is 13 years old. It seems quite a lot of stitches to me, and it was, I doubted a bit. So I ripped it out. I also made a mistake in the cable. I ripped it out, and then I went for the child size, and that's perfect. And I was measuring all the way long with her feet. I didn't follow the pattern. I didn't look at it. I just did my own way. And when I finished the first sock, I was finished, and I even had woven in the thread, the yarn end of the toe. I discovered a mistake in the cable. I cabled the wrong side. Sometimes it's at the front, a cabling to the front, and the other time it's cabling to the back. I'm sorry. So these two are the same, and these two are the same, and I made a mistake. And I normally my perfectionism would make me immediately rip out the whole sock and fix that mistake and knit it again. But now I was thinking, I don't know. Is it really bad, that mistake? Is it really hard? Could I leave it there? And I want to finish this sock and cast on the other one. And then I decided, well, let me give some time. I will first go for my daily walk in the woods, and then I will first knit the second sock, and then I will see what I will do. And it was quite nice because it was always good, because when I decide to rip out and fix the mistake, it would take me some extra time, and when I would decide to let the mistake in the sock, it would bother me. It was always some part of me wasn't satisfied with what I would decide, and some part of me was. So it doesn't matter which decision I made. So I thought, let's ask my daughter, because they are for her. And I showed her the mistake, and she said, "Oh, you can hardly see it. It's okay for me." Okay, I thought, then it's okay. But when she put the sock on, it was obvious. The mistake was right on top of her foot, and it was all the attention was on the mistake. And she said, she asked me, do you mind ripping out and fixing the mistake? I said, no, it's absolutely okay. It's just such a pity when you put so much effort in your work, and there is such an obvious mistake on a very very clear point. It was not hidden. It was right at the top of her foot. That was not nice. But I said I will first knit the second sock, and that was quite fun, because when I knitted the second sock, I made a mistake again. And it was, again, the same mistake with the cable. I cabled the wrong side. Oh, let me tell first, I don't love cable needles. And I discovered that for me, it works better with a DPN. I love cabling with a DPN. These are very tiny cables, so technically you don't even need a cable needle. But because of the slippery mohair, I better safe than sorry, I guess. So I prefer to use an extra needle. But cable needles and we are not good friends. But my DPN needle, I never use DPNs for other stuff, but for cabling, it's quite nice. And I love how to hold them. And yes, so I will use cable needles. I also discovered that while I was knitting the mystery knit along from Stephen West, and now again it was I accidentally discovered it last summer when we were on holiday, and I was knitting another headband with cables, but my cable needles were at home, so I only had a DPN, and then I discovered this is quite nice. So I still do that, and it even gets nicer every time. It gets better every time I knit cables. Also, cables, in my head, knitting cables is hard. But it isn't at all. It's just so much fun. And I always forget that there's only one needle you have to cable. And then you just can knit and purl a few needles. And then you have to cable again. It's just quite fun. So I have a cabled cardigan in my Ravelry library, so maybe it's time for that. I don't know, it's more for spring, I guess. But I made a mistake again, and it was somewhere here. No, it was somewhere here, but I already knitted the heel, so I must rip out the whole heel to fix that mistake, and I don't want to do that. So I thought, can I just fix the mistake without ripping out all. So I just the 4 stitches, it was a 4-stitch white cable, I let them fall down several needles so you can get a ladder. I don't make pictures because it was in the evening and dark, and I was so focused on fixing my mistake. I don't want to get my phone and make photos, but now I regret a little because it was fun to show you. But I just dropped the stitches, 4 stitches for more than 15 needles, so there was the big ladder, and the other stitches were safe on my needle. And then when I was at my mistake, I ripped that, and then I knitted them all again, and I just had to count good and that 4 stitches, and then cable them on the right way, and then I fixed the mistake without ripping out the whole sock. So that was something new I learned, and I also did that with the first mistake. I ripped out the toe because that was wouldn't work out without doing that. So I ripped out the toe, and then I again dropped that 4 stitches for several needles, and then I fixed that mistake, and then I knit the toe again. So it was quite easy and quite fun, and I was very proud of myself that I didn't listen to the impulse to, when I discovered the mistake, immediately fix it, but just gave it some time. So I could discover new opportunities to learn something new. So the mistake is fixed, and that's absolutely okay, but not by not doing it immediately, there became some space to learn new things and to learn fixing cable mistakes on a very easy and not so much time-consuming way. So I love that. So Tin Can Knits has a bundle on Ravelry with new cable patterns, sweaters and mittens, fingerless mittens, and I think a hat and a blanket and a shawl. And I also bought the fingerless mittens for my daughter. Also want these. But I really loved working on these, and I absolutely will make some again. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I will, because I really love this pattern. I even thought, let me knit this pattern in fingering weight socks, just for socks in my shoes, because I love that cabling and that braid at the front and at the back. It was just a lovely pattern. I love doing it, and it was quite quick and fun and quick project, because I could knit them in a few days because of the DK weight yarn. I used 3.25 needles for the ribbing and 4mm needles for the whole sock. So Acorn socks by Tin Can Knits, a lovely project. And let me say, it's as all the projects from Tin Can Knits, it starts with a tiny baby size and it ends with a huge adult size. So there are quite some sizes. You can knit these Acorn socks for all your family if you want that. So I love that at the Tin Can Knits patterns. So first finished object. Let's go to the second. Oh, I also forgot that this was my second New Year's cast on. I forgot to tell you that. I told you last week I had another New Year cast on, and that were these socks. My second finished object is a crochet one. It was not my plan to make this, but there were several circumstances. I would say circumference, but that's not what I meant. Circumstances. Several things happening, and then suddenly I was crocheting a cushion, a granny square cushion, pillow, a granny square pillow. I love granny squares. They are absolutely my favorite thing to make ever, and I think they will be. My heart makes a jump while making a granny square every time again. And I have a big basket with DK weight woolly yarns, and that was a circumstance. I was looking for some pictures from granny squares for a friend who wants to learn to crochet. So I was looking for her, and I did have my period. So oh, it's raining again. I was feeling a bit tired, and I had a little a pain in my stomach, and my kids were off from school because it was holiday, but they had other plans outside, so I was home alone, and I just needed to come for crochet work on the couch with a big cup of tea and some chocolate, and then it was happening, and this is what it becomes. My comfort crochet work, a little big granny square pillow, and I was starting picking colors out of my basket with scraps, and it was my plan to use all kind of colored scraps, but when I had these colors, I decided to just keep it with these. and I just crocheted and crocheted and crocheted. I used a 3mm needle, and it's quite tight for DK weight, but because it's a pillow, we have on our table. It's raining quite hard. It's very grey and rainy in the Netherlands. It's not cold, but it's quite wet. When I'm walking outside, all the puddles, do you say puddles? It's all mud and puddles and water, and it's quite wet outside. That's good, I think, and I think it's cozy, but it does make noise. But we have on our dining table. My husband made some. Oh, I don't know. You have the couch, and in Dutch we say bank, and we have bankjes. We don't have chairs on our dining table, but a little couch. I don't know. He made it from iron and wood, metal and wood, and I don't know. It's all detailed, but it's quite cold at your butt. That's that word again. At your billen. In Dutch we say billen. It's quite cold at your billen. There are quite some pillows and a blanket, so on which we can sit so we don't have cold billen. But I saw one of my pillows was with yellow and pink flowery fabric, and I don't like it anymore. It was okay. It is quite nice, but I don't know. I thought, let me crochet a new one. So I just made a big granny square, 26 rounds, and then I folded. Let me show you the back because it's different. My dark brown color was not. I didn't have enough for the last round. This is the 26th round. Every time I measured, and then I fold the points together. And when I was there, I just I had to add one extra color. But I do love the detail of it, so it's quite fun. So when I was there with the strand of yarn I tied the points together, and then with one strand of yarn I metre stitched these sides together and then these sides together, and that was all. And it is you can put it out. You can, when I want to wash this pillow, I have to put all the whole pillow in the washing machine, because there's no button or whatever to open it. But I really love it. I love the look of it. I love the colors. I love how it feels. It's wool, so it's nice and warm, and yeah, it was quite comforting me the days I needed it, and now I want to make another one. So I really loved it. Granny Square love forever. I really have to make another Ariana cardigan, because yeah, it was so much fun. I will soon. Woo! I love it. Someone asked me a question about that little tiny sock there. I can put it. I don't know if it was at the Dutch episode or at the English one. I think at the English one, but this is a little tiny scrappy sock, and it's a very lovely one. It was a gift from a Dutch knitter, and it's quite a nice story, because she organized a traveling sock yarn shop, a little traveling sock yarn shop, and she made a nice wooden box, and it's filled with 10 grams mini skeins. 10 grams, I guess. Yes, 10 grams. And it travels around our country. And you can, when it comes to you, and it can go by post, by the postman, but it also travels between knitters. You gave it to someone else, and you can change the mini skeins. You can put a few from yourself in it, and you can put out a few you love and you like. So it's a little yarn shop, a little traveling yarn shop, and you add some yarn and you pick some yarn, and then you pass it through, it travels further, and there's also a little description how to make this tiny scrappy sock, and this was a gift from her to me. When we organized a sock knit day in October last year, and with a stitch marker I could put it on my sweater, and now it's hanging there, and it's reminding me of that lovely lady and the lovely day, and I love the colors, and I absolutely want a pair of socks in this colorways. I do have a basket full of mini skeins from the traveling sock yarn shop, and as a which reminds me of that lovely sock knitting day, and I will knit some scrappy stripy socks from it once this year. I don't know when, but and I think I do have the notes. It's her idea, and I don't have a pattern from this. I do have the notes to make my own, and it was my plan to make one for Christmas and the Christmas tree, but it didn't happen. So only this one is hanging there, but it's quite tiny and lovely, and it makes me very happy every time I see it. So this is the perfect place for it. Okay, last but not least, I will show you my knitting for this week. I absolutely want to cast on some new things, but I have quite some project bags filled with sweaters at the moment. Now 3-1. I have my Straya cardigan on my needles, and it's completely getting no attention at the moment, and I think I will. It's more for spring. It's a fingering weight cardigan, and I am now, it's more for spring, I guess. And I also have my Ursina sweater. I will finish that quite soon, I guess. But first I want to finish my the sweater for my 16-year-old daughter. This is the home sweater V-neck, a pattern by Caidree, and it didn't get a lot of attention the last weeks, but yesterday I picked it up, and then I knitted the ribbing for the neckline. I do love the all yarn ends. I do love the detail of the V neckline, and now it's just knitting in the round for the body, and it would be. I'm a bit afraid it gets boring, but I will. I don't know if I can finish it this week. It would be good. I love the color, but I will tell you more about it when it's finished. Maybe next week, that would be fine. So I have quite some knitting time this week. After a few busy weeks with the holidays, everybody was home. No, not my husband was working, but my kids were off to school, and we have quite some festivities with Christmas and New Year and my son's birthday, and there were a lot of nice things to do with other people, and it was all quite nice and fun. But now from today it's back to normal. The schools are started today, and I'm home alone again, and I don't have any plans right now. I don't have any working plans. In 2022 was quite busy with doing all kind of stuff, but now my January month is empty, and I am absolutely looking forward. I already started, but to clean my house and to give my house attention and to take care of all the stuff here, because it's good to get some attention. When I'm busy, we always do our house stuff good, but not a deep cleaning. Let me say it like that. Not a deep clean. Only the plain things, everyday things, every week things. But now it's time for some deep cleaning and decluttering, and so it's all fresh and nice. And I think that's quite nice and luxury. I can have the time for that and can make the time. And there also will be quite some knitting time. So I love doing that. So that was it for today. I wish you a very nice week and I will see you next week. Bye bye.